Hey, it's Diana of Cauldron and Craft. I wanted to post a quick video to show how I dyed the fabric for this dress. I want to start by saying I am extremely frugal. I think it's in my DNA to be as cheap as possible, and not just to save money. I'll enjoy the challenge of that, but also over the years I've really started to hate fast fashion, and one of the reasons why I got into sewing was to sew my own clothes that I like and will wear over and over again as part of the rejection of fast fashion. A lot of the things I've made over the last year have been from thrifted fabric that I got from Goodwill, and mostly out of curtains and things like that. But when I have purchased fabric, especially from a site called Fabric Mart, which I'll put that link in the description, it's dead stock fabric that is kind of on its last run, so to speak. So the prices are really good, and there was one particular weekend where they had a pretty steep sale on linen blends, and cotton and linen are kind of my goal wardrobe fiber types. However, it can be extremely expensive, and so I lucked up and got this cotton linen blend fabric at a really steep discount, like $8 a yard or something crazy cheap like that. But it wasn't in the color that I wanted, and part of making clothes that you really like are having clothes in the colors that you like. So I decided to explore dyeing the fabric to be the exact color that I wanted. I had this vision of this green dress, button down sort of sundress. So I ordered the fabric, and it was in an oatmeal type of color, and then I researched dyeing it, which I knew that dyeing a natural fiber was going to be easier than if it were a synthetic blend. I did try experimenting with dyeing some cotton polyester blend fabric that I got from Goodwill. Did not go well at all, so I was hoping that because it was a natural fiber, it would accept the dye a lot better. I went on the RIT Dye website, which this is not a sponsored video, but they have a million different color options, and they tell you the exact recipe that you need in order to get the color goal that you have. So I researched, read the website multiple times, especially about dyeing in the washing machine. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps to dyeing your fabric in the washing machine. For this dress, I'm going to be taking this cotton linen blend fabric that I got on a huge discount, $8 per yard. I got 4 yards, so hopefully that'll be enough for this. But I got it in an oatmeal color, and in order to get the color that I want, I'm going to dye it in the washing machine. Since this is natural fiber, I'll be able to use regular RIT dye, and on their website, to get the forest green color that I'm going for, I'll be using equal parts dark green and apple green, the whole bottle, and a small amount of pearl gray. Now this is to dye white fabric, so I might end up using a little bit more pearl gray than what's recommended, just to cool off the beige a little bit more. But first we need to pre-wash the fabric. I'm going to do this in warm water on a gentle cycle to hopefully keep it from fraying any more than it needs to. Pre-washing is really important in the dyeing process, especially if you're dyeing new fabric. It helps remove residue from the manufacturing process, and it helps it accept the dye. Here is a little snippet from the RIT Dye website. I chose the forest green color, and because it was 4 yards, I scrolled down till I found curtains. So that's where I got the measurements from, for a whole bottle of dark green, a whole bottle of apple green, and a 1/4 cup of pearl gray. And then it also gives you all of the other things that you need to dye the fabric. For cotton and linen, salt is recommended to also help the dye adhere to the fibers. A little bit of dish soap is also recommended to help with even dye distribution. And now I'm just using tongs to make sure the fabric stays completely submerged in the water. I ended up putting more water in the washing machine to make sure the fabric would stay below the water line. Some important things to note when dyeing in the washing machine is the length of time that you normally need to dye is longer than a normal cycle. For example, the recommended dyeing time was 30 minutes for this particular project, and my normal wash cycle is only about 10 minutes. So I had to stop as soon as the rinse cycle was about to begin. I had to stop the machine and turn it back and put it back on to the beginning of the cycle so that it would go again. Now, a mistake that I made was not paying attention to the second cycle, and it actually drained before I caught it, and my fabric only dyed for 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. And I was originally really mad at myself for making this mistake, because when I first saw the fabric, I thought it was a little bit lighter than what I really wanted, and I was super disappointed. And the only way that I could have really fixed it was to go buy more dye and do it all over again, and I just didn't want to do that, so I just left it. The other thing that you're going to see in the next clip is how twisted up the fabric got, and when I reset the washing machine cycle, I also meant to make sure the fabric wasn't twisted up, but I forgot. So there's actually a few lines, very subtle lines in the fabric where you can see that the dye didn't get fully saturated, and that's because it got super twisted up and all those wrinkles prevented the fabric from dyeing evenly. So those are a couple things that I messed up on, but ultimately I've come to accept that things are not going to be perfect, especially when it comes to things being handmade, and it's something that only I'm going to notice when I wear the dress and when I see it. I don't think anyone else is ever going to notice those little things. So don't be scared to make mistakes. Here's the fabric dry. I'm about to iron it, but the color turned out really good, even though it didn't sit in the washer for as long as I would have liked. I missed changing the cycle again to let it keep agitating, and by the time I caught it, it was too late. But I'm really happy with the color. It actually looks lighter on camera, but the color turned out perfect. And here's the finished product. The dress didn't turn out exactly the way I would have wanted, but that's more so due to fit. I'm still learning how to grade patterns to actually fit my body, so you can see that it's a little bit too big, even though I tried it on multiple times. I think when I'm actually sewing, I'm scared that I'm going to make it too small. I'd rather it be too big than too small. And the shoulders got a little wonky and they're a little bit too big, but overall I've worn this a few times and I really love it.